On this Outside of the Box, Christine is previewing some of the competitors who will appear in the Round 3 April NHRL event.
A lot of the aesthetic choices and stuff are mainly tailored around being like a soft, rounded, cute robot, because there's not that many bots that are like that.
A lot of people have this like edgy aesthetic, a lot of blacks, a lot of sharp corners.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Edgy bot.
She's not. She's cute though. She's a cute edgy.
The thing I love most is when I see BattleBots builders bring the small version of their robot. I love seeing Jameson's 30-pounder. I love seeing Huge. I love seeing like the Tiny Monsoon. I think they called it Hurricane fighting. And that was part of the reason I was like, all right, I'm going to be the change I want to see, right? I'm going to build a tiny version of my robot.
Heavyweights scale down very nicely to 30-pounders. I went through and counted the amount of BattleBots builders that had 30-pound versions, and I think there's like over 10. So it is really cool to see that. I want to see more.
It's really great to come to an event and interact with other people, especially other people that are also in college like us. And especially talking to college competitors always helps us improve how we run our club. So we'll always go and talk to the WPI people, the MIT people. So it's always a great experience to talk to other college competitors because there's so much we can learn from each other.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And it's been kind of a hot minute since I've done a Sleepy Anime Girls episode, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity, not only to have Kezia back on, but also to have Mint on, because I just absolutely love Usawgi, and I've been wanting to talk about it. So I'm excited to have you both on the show.
Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, first we'll talk about Usawgi because this will be its second time out, as its first time out was in February. I thought showed a lot of promise. I was really excited about it. So tell me a little bit about the background and inspiration for it and how you feel coming off of that performance in February.
So Usagi was largely a collaborative effort between me and Kezia. Kezia did a lot of the early CAD work and stuff like that for the bot, and helped me stay from getting lost in the sauce, basically, for design elements and stuff. Lots of fun ideas that don't actually translate well to a good bot. So a lot of the aesthetic choices and stuff are mainly tailored around being like a soft, rounded, cute robot, because there's not that many bots that are like that are floating around. Most
a lot of people have this like edgy aesthetic, a lot of blacks, a lot of sharp corners.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Edgy bot.
She's not. She's cute though. She's a cute edgy.
Yeah. So I think Usagi did pretty well at her first. Well, it wasn't her first event because I got we did G Scroll the weekend before, and I got second place there. I did lose to Sting Up in grand finals due to shorting on my ESC. But I think the bot is really, really good. And I think that showed in NHRL. I think that mainly the bot's solid, and I just need to catch up to the bot. I think my driving needs more practice, more dialing in and stuff like that. But I think overall, I think she's a really good bot, and we've made actually a fairly large amount of changes from the first NHRL to this one that's coming up. So I expect her to be even better. So
yeah, speaking of that event coming up, I always ahead of the event, I look at the registered bots, and I know obviously one thing that a lot of people observed about March was that there were just some insanely talented bots, lots of former dumpster winners and things like that. And, I think people were really surprised to see maybe some bots kind of in prime time that you wouldn't have expected to be there. How are you feeling looking about the lineup for April? Obviously, Kitty's going to be there, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But how are you feeling about what you've seen from that registration list?
I think I have a good chance of doing well. There's a lot of bracket luck involved, of course. There are obviously a lot of really good bots that are still going to this next event. We have Strike Point coming, who's another four-wheel drive hammer saw, but they're going to be running shufflers, so they get the added bonus of having an extra pound and a half on me. So that's a fight I'm not really looking forward to because it's a mirror match, but he gets to have AR 500 top plate, but I think the hope is that both Usawgi and Chainsaw Kitty end up qualifying this event. Hopefully we don't run into each other at top 8.
Yeah, that's always the rough thing when you have multiple bots for one team. So I'll cross my fingers for you that you end up on opposite sides and can hopefully get down to the end. But wouldn't it be a great top 4 finals match?
Yeah. After we've hit the qualification mark, then we can fight. But before then, it's going to be really sad if I have to knock her out.
We'll see.
For sure. Now, this is going to be Kitty's first time out this year, which I am really excited about. I mean, obviously, Kezia, you were there in February with your other new robot, which I also just loved. But first time out with Kitty, though, how are you feeling?
A little rusty in ways, but I'm feeling really good about the new Kitty design. I was really limited before in the changes I could make to her due to the way she was constructed. Everything was part of this whole aluminum billet chassis, which was an expensive part, first of all, $150 a piece. So wanting to make small changes to that, not really in the budget very often. So I really only did one revision of that chassis in the 2 years I was running with that thing. But it really limits what you can do in that space because I can't just make the robot bigger because I'm already constrained that way. It was also really heavy. Fun fact about old versions of Kitty, the chassis weighs more than her weapon. So getting rid of that has freed up so much weight budget. I've been able to put a lot of things I've been wanting to put into Kitty for a long time. I've always been frustrated with her drive system. It was always so fragile. You breathe on it the wrong way, she stops moving, severely disadvantaged me in a lot of fights. So now I'm running some Blitz motors, feeling really good about those. She's driving just about the same as she always has. More weight in the weapon because she didn't hit hard enough. And she's spinning faster than ever before. So overall, we got 25% more MOI in the weapon blade, 15% higher RPM, turns out to about 60% more kinetic energy in the weapon itself.
I mean, I'm sure you have some prior opponents that would disagree that it didn't hit hard enough, but you could always hit harder. So
yeah,
that's kind of the key, I guess. Now, I'm really curious to know, because obviously up until last year, you wanted to qualify so bad, you finally qualified for finals and got to go last year. Does that take any of the pressure off from, not having qualified and now you did? Do you feel less anxiety at an event because you don't have that on your back?
Yes and no. In ways, I guess I've shown to myself that I can do it. On the flip side, I don't think I should have qualified that event. Kitty was horrible that event. I mean, the Beetlejuice fight was great. The Red Panda fight was as good as it could have been with me losing the weapon in 8 seconds. But every fight before then, horrible electrical issues. Every fight, I was surprised I was even going 3 minutes, even more surprised I was winning. And between every round, I'm just frantically running back and forth between the tusk box. Why can't I get her working? Go back here, go back there. It was the most stressful event I've had. And I did not deserve to qualify that event. And I've kind of seen the field of robots just getting better and better. And in some ways, I need to see if Kitty can still keep up. These 4-wheel drive beater bars have gotten insane. Like, look at Lars. Like, I don't know. I can't do anything to that. Like, I think if I pull Lars, I just pray he turns off. I don't know what else I do there. I don't think another 15% RPM is gonna win me that fight. So I'm still feeling pressured. I'm not. We'll see if I can do it. It's always going to involve bracket luck, no matter what robot you have. But for a bot like Kitty, there are some matchups she doesn't like too much.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I think no matter who you are, there's probably some matchups that aren't going to be the best for you because of the type of bot that you have. Were there any bots, that have stuck out for you personally with the registered in April as maybe matchups that you would like to happen?
Ones that I would like to happen? I didn't really take mental note of which ones I wanted. I definitely took notes of some that I didn't want. Jason Vasquez has that new robot 00. I don't want to touch that thing. I don't want to go anywhere near it. I want her to pull it because I think she can just hammer saw the thing, but I don't think she wants it either.
It's a good test of the wedge, but yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. The one concern I have with the new Kitty is how rigid the new upright setup is to like the rest of the body. So a super hard hitting horizontal like that would be a great test to see if she stays in one piece. And any sort of droopy style robot like that has a really good chance of like spinning around and hitting the exposed weapon motor, which is always going to be a Kitty thing.
For sure. Now, one thing that I really wanted to ask about is because I know that there's been, a lot of notice of some of the teams that have, built up and things like that. And I think there's a lot of teams that are continuously like adding on and adding more bots. But at one point in time, I mean, Sleepy Anime Girls Club was Chainsaw Kitty, and now you've added, other members to the team, and there's these new bots. Has that been like a focus for you to kind of build up some other folks to get some more interesting new designs coming out of your team?
Not specifically. Like meeting people who are interested, like I will info dump the crap out of them. Like I don't think she knew a whole lot about robots before she met me, and I infected her quite quickly. So I'm not necessarily looking specifically for people that want to be part of the team. I'm not really trying to expand it super hard, but like if I meet somebody and they're interested and they're cool, then yeah, I'll totally bring them on. And it is awesome to have like a larger roster of robots, for sure, especially when somehow I keep getting some pretty competitive robots with under my banner. So I like that.
That is very true. I know it's not pertaining to this event necessarily, but are we going to see Breakneck come out again later in the year?
I absolutely want to bring her back. She does not deserve to go 0-2. I'm not super happy with that performance. It's really just speed controller issues on the weapon, which for a robot that is nothing but weapon is a massive Achilles heel. So I'm hoping to get a new ESC on her. I've been keeping my eye on one that I'm just waiting to come back in stock. She'll absolutely hit some non-NHRL events, and as soon as I get Kitty qualified, I'll feel comfortable bringing Jan back. I absolutely want her to have a do-over at NHRL this year.
I think Jan has dumpster potential, very much so. As soon as Kezia is able to figure out the electrical issues with it, I think that there's just not a lot you can do against a working Jan. She moves way faster than you expect. She can thagamize. She can hammer saw. She's weirdly good in this meta in that you have to engage with her and you don't want to because it's a lot of weapon.
I've said to her, like, in a lot of ways, I think Nyan is, if she's working, has a better chance of qualifying and dumpstering than Kitty does. Like, I don't know what stops a working Nyan. Like, it's just straight up 2 pounds of weapon.
Well, I will love to see it if it's working.
Me too. I'm desperate to get this robot working right, to the point where I had some like toothless flywheels made for like weapon discs, so I can actually run her at home and test her now, because there was no way I was putting her through my test box at home. I've broke the NHRL test box. I broke the G Scroll Arena. I nearly went through the open source box at NHRL. Like, she's going through my box for sure. So I had to get a way to safely test her at home and make sure she's working.
Yeah, for sure. That is that's a powerful robot. So well, I am excited to see both of your bots in April. Again, hopefully if they have to fight each other, it's later, much later. But thank you both for joining. We have much more to come, and maybe I can ask Jason Vasquez what he thinks of fighting Kitty. So,
I don't think he needs to be afraid of me. Maybe he does, but I really I don't want it.
I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Why don't you fight it?
I probably will.
You'll be fine.
well, we will see. Everybody stay tuned. We have much more in the show. So just keep watching. And we're back. And so the builders that I have with me for this segment, I've previously only had on to talk about BattleBots. And I'm excited for once to get to talk about NHRL bots, although one of those robots might look a little bit familiar to BattleBots fans. So I have Matt and Jason Vasquez here to talk about their robot entries for NHRL in April. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's fun talking about all types of combat robots.
Exactly. I'm so glad that like now almost 3 years into doing this show, I finally realized that there are so many different combat robots out there than just BattleBots, which BattleBots is awesome, but all combat robots are awesome. So I'm really excited to talk about it. There's certainly been a lot of chatter amongst the other builders at NHRL about both of you coming. So first of all, Jason, I want to talk about your robot, especially because in the first segment of this episode, I was talking with Kezia and Mint of Sleepy Anime Girls Club, and they were talking a little bit about your robot and what that might look like in matchups for them. So tell me about your bot, first of all.
Thanks. So I mean, my last like 4 or 5 builds, I really tried to just build things that haven't necessarily been done before, or at least there was one big aspect that was original. So this I took Droopy as my main inspiration and some from like Project Liftoff, but I was really just trying to get as much weight as possible into the weapons. So I'm pretty much sacrificing all my mobility and speed and control for all the weight in the weapon. So I do get a bristle weight advantage now that's 150% of the weight class. So I'm not 3 pounds and 4.5 pounds, but I have 4 pounds of weapon pretty much. So each blade is 2 pounds, and I just kind of spin this up and down to waddle my robot across the arena. Hopefully.
Yeah, best laid plans, but that sounds extremely scary. What I mean, I asked what was it about Droopy that gave inspiration, but I mean, I think Droopy is just a really cool robot. I think most people would agree with that, but you know, what was it for you that you decided to go this direction specifically?
I mean, my other most recent big robot project was Defender, which was all control, practically no weapon. And it gets frustrating driving those because, I mean, you have to just do everything perfect to survive 3 minutes against all these crazy weapons nowadays. So I just wanted to be on the opposite end of that spectrum. And it's funny, now I'm even finding some annoyances from this side because of the lack of control. So I think the typical four-wheel vert is the most fun way to build a robot because it's got all the good aspects from every side. But right now I'm sacrificing a little bit of control, getting all the like potential damage from my weapon. And yeah, so this robot gets, I think it's like 130% of its weight into the weapons, like of 3 pounds. So I think out of any weight class, this will be the most mass in the weapon. So I'm really excited to compete with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the rest of the field certainly has some mixed feelings from what I've heard about fighting this robot. Have you had a chance to take a look at the registration list? I mean, are there any bots that you're familiar with that you are like, that would be an interesting matchup for you?
Dude, there's like 90 of them. How can you even read through the
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the most concerning thing to me is just the sheer quantity of them. I mean, 80, 90 robots is an absurd bracket. I will be very grateful if I make it halfway through, to be honest. But I'm sure some people are gonna be very happy to hear this. My top plates are pretty thin. So currently I'm concerned for top attack robots. So overhead saws are one of my bigger concerns. But I mean, just like the people fighting me, like I don't have a whole lot of a strategy to choose from because my robot could kind of do one thing. So people fighting me don't have much strategy to choose from because they can't like attack me from a weak point or like the back or something. Like there's only one option. We have to just drive into each other. So yeah.
Should be interesting for sure. And yes, as somebody who has fought in the Beetle class at NHRL, I can say it's quite a lot, and sometimes it's just luck of the draw with the matchups. You know, you just never know how it's going to go. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun either way. Now, Matt, I of course, being a huge fan of Whiplash, I mean it's in my top 10 favorite robots of all time, was very excited to see Lil Lash listed in the 30 pounds for NHRL. I'm really excited. I'm sure a lot of other people are. What I mean, what made you decide to do this? I mean, why not? But like, what made you decide to make this?
I don't know. It's funny. Like going back to what you said about like, oh, the reaction of builders to like Jason bringing his robot. Like, I think there's like a balance of the reaction people will have where like people see Little Ash and there's like kind of like a fun novelty to it. Then they see Jason's robot registered and it's just like pure terror seeing that. So we kind of have the yin and yang there. But I don't know. It was really, I've wanted to do this for a long time. I think during the last season of BattleBots we filmed, we were having like a bunch of issues with the robot and we were really struggling. We still ended up doing like, okay. But during that season, like one thought I had, I was like, man, like I should really build a featherweight version for practice. Like I just thought that would be really, really useful. And it took like 2 years for me to actually do it. But I was like, the next thing I build is going to be a tiny Whiplash. So I didn't really start building it till like maybe 3-4 months ago. I was designing it very slowly for like a couple of years. But yeah, it was just kind of like sort of meant to be honest. I really love driving Whiplash and you can't do it too often. So building a little half-scale version seemed like the move.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. Now the 30 pounds, obviously it's a smaller field at NHRL, but the interesting thing about this event is there seems to be so many college clubs that are coming, and 30 pounds, there's like no shortage of that. I mean, the Robojackets, you know, always show up. Of course, this time they're not going to have Chonky there, which is always the one that I think people are really scared to fight. But how are you feeling about the field and just the opportunity to fight so many college kids that are just coming up with some really crazy, really amazing ideas?
Yeah, it's cool. There's like, I looked at who'd registered and I'm kind of glad there's like a nice variety of opponents. There's like maybe 2 or 3 horizontals. There's like a handful of like 4-wheel beater bar robots, a couple like 4-wheeled vertical spinners. So there's like definitely variety in there. As well as far as college kids. So Little Lash has actually already fought an event. I fought at a Scar Big Bot Brawl, which was actually last Saturday in Southern California. And we ended up getting first place there, which was awesome. The robot had some problems, but it went 4-0. It got like a bye first round and then won its next 4 fights. So it's, looking pretty good. There were definitely some issues. We had some issues with the spinner dying, but we did fight a couple college teams. We fought like UCLA. They had like a huge clone that I fought against, which was pretty cool. And then I fought USC, which was actually, it was Athon, who was at the most recent NHRL event. So after that, they made a couple, improvements and brought it out. And I had like a really, really close match with them where they almost knocked me out. They got like a perfect shot with the hammer saw that went through like the only part of my top armor that I didn't have extra armor on. And it like nicked a power wire. It was so close to knocking me out. But luckily I survived and pulled out that win. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of really good college teams. It's a lot of talent out there.
Yeah, there definitely is. I'm curious because there's definitely been a lot of inspiration from BattleBots and NHRL in general. I mean, I think one of my favorite multi-bot configurations at NHRL is BattleTots, which I'm not sure if you've seen that, but like that, really, really cool that people have taken inspiration from a lot of these robots that we've seen for so many years. What do you think about that trend? I mean, it's pretty, I think it's pretty common, but I think it's also like really neat that people are doing that.
Yeah, the trend of people building BattleBot robots clones is cool, but honestly, like the thing I love most is when I see BattleBots builders bring the small version of their robot. That's the thing I love to see. I love seeing Jameson's 30 pounder. I love seeing Huge. I love seeing like the tiny Monsoon. I think they called it Hurricane fighting. So that's my favorite thing. Like I really love when people have, their own original idea and then scale it down, continue fighting, I guess more people that they wouldn't get to fight at BattleBots. So that really excites me seeing that. And that was part of the reason I was like, all right, I'm going to be the change I want to see, right? I'm going to build a tiny version of my robot.
Yeah, totally. And heavyweights scale down very nicely to 30 pounders. Pretty much it's just the dimensions divided by 2 and it ends up being around 30 pounds. And I went through and counted the amount of BattleBots builders that had 30-pound versions, and I think there's like over 10. But it's just really cool. Like even Endgame has like their 30-pound competition. They have it's pretty similar to Endgame. So it is really cool to see that. I want to see more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, because I mean, last time I talked to Trey, about BattleBots, I know they're even considering like trying to do something with smaller bots there too.
Yeah.
So there's loads of potential, I think. Now, you mentioned about the 30-pound bots and you mentioned Jameson Go. Now, as of this moment, Megatron is not signed up for the April event, but I'm curious, would it be cool to see a Whiplash versus Sawblaze fight essentially with the smaller versions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it. I fought a hammer saw last weekend, so I've got a little bit of practice. I know what not to do from the mistakes I made. But yeah, and if he comes, it'd be fun. If not, I'll I guess be glad I'm more likely to pull out some more wins. I don't know. Because he is not an easy match. He is not an easy match. Yeah.
That is very true. Not at any weight class, I would say.
Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, I'm super stoked for it. It's really great to see y'all making your way out all the way from the West Coast to go out for it, because I mean, NHRL is always a super exciting event. I mean, what do I think the chances of qualifying, may be pretty good. Obviously, I'm sure that you'd like to see that happen.
Yeah, I think 30 is definitely easier than Beetleweights. Beetleweights is like, there's just so many of them. Who the hell knows? But I think I have a good chance. I mean, considering that it did so well at the SCAR event we just went to, there were like 13 robots there, which is, I think that's more than there are at NHRL. But I think there's more tried and true robots at NHRL for sure. So I'll be fighting more seasoned opponents. So I'll take it as I had a really good warm up last weekend, and hopefully that's enough to win some fights and make top 4.
Yeah,
Jason, you have a whole other challenge.
Yeah, I think my personal goal for the event is get maybe like a best hit of the event, hopefully with 0-0, and then just kind of help push Whiplash to the qualifying area. But I mean, obviously, I would love to qualify. It's a shot in a million right now, but it feels like one. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Exactly. You never know. The Beatles are probably the biggest game of rock, paper, scissors that you will ever
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Good thing I'm bringing 2 rocks.
Exactly.
Or 2 scissors, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll certainly see how it goes down. I think it's going to be really exciting either way. Probably last question, just briefly, because I gotta ask. I mean, BattleBots is obviously doing some things, and I think that it's really exciting that there's this YouTube content that's going to be coming and fights and things like that. I mean, for builders of the heavies, is that something that excites both of you, that there's at least some traction along those lines to kind of get BattleBots back into the minds of everybody that's fans of it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's glad that something's happening, It's better than nothing happening. I'm glad they filmed that, the new series, and that it seems like they'll be releasing episodes to YouTube. I don't know exactly how often, but the first one looked pretty good. And they have a whole lot more content, so I think that could keep people satisfied for quite a while. But honestly, my plan with Little Lash was to prepare for Big Whiplash and plan new strategies and things. So whenever BattleBots comes back in whatever form, the idea is hopefully I'll have collected some data with Little Lash and can build. But I don't know if you have other thoughts, Jason.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, as long as there's a big arena assembled in the West Coast, or I mean, the US as a whole, I'm happy. It's just good to see it up. I would hate to have that arena like torn down in a crate somewhere. So this is it's good.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of good things happening for combat robotics. So stay tuned to this episode. We're gonna keep talking a little bit more about the event for April with the Robojackets. So stay tuned for that, and just excited for the event.
Sweet. Thank you for having us.
All right, we are back, and y'all know that I always typically save the biggest for the last. And in this instance, we're talking about both the size of the robots and also the number of the robots. So I have here with me a number of members from the Robojackets team to talk about their entries for the round 3 April NHRL event. So welcome y'all to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Absolutely. I think I've had most, if not all of you on previously, at least some of you for sure, but definitely excited to talk about this event in particular. There's a couple of 30s, there's some 12s, like you're bringing a decent amount of robots, and that caught my eye, so I definitely wanted to talk about it. So honestly, whoever wants to go first, I don't know if maybe Evan, you want to give like an overall, and then we can get into each of the individual bots.
Yeah, sure, I can definitely do that. So for anybody who hasn't looked at the selected bots, or I guess I put out a little message about all the colleges bringing the most robots, but we're going to be bringing a total of 8 robots. So 2 30-pounders, 4 12-pounders, and then 2 3-pounders. The 12s are brand new. We built them over the course of last year, and the 2 30s are Anxiety and Tsunami. So bringing those from last year with some minor modifications. And then the 3s are just some personal bots from me, and then another member who's not here right now.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear about them. Maybe first to talk about the 30s, since they've been there before, and kind of talk a little bit about any changes that have been made to them since last year.
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with Anxiety. You can talk about Tsunami after Manon, but but I was the bot lead and still am the bot lead for Anxiety. We're still on the second iteration. We're calling this version 2.5. So usually we go to a new iteration when there's like a ground up overhaul or redesign. But some of the main changes that we're focusing on making is First and foremost is a bigger weapon motor. We've been rocking a 6215 Semi Sky, I think, which has like a max power output of like 3.6 kilowatts, which is, it's a little small. I think it's the same motor that Bobby uses. So it's a little underwhelming, but it did the job. But more power is never bad. And then to make weight for that sort of thing, I think it's like a pound heavier motor. Switching to a different material backplate, since our current backplate was kind of overkill. And then looking at some other things like just changing around the geometry of the bot, because I think like 3 out of our 5 losses are directly due to the geometry of the bot getting stuck in weird places. So eliminating that as a failure mode that would probably increase the chances of this bot doing a lot better comparatively in the past, because it's proven that I can go the distance against like Monsoon and Synthesis, getting whacked and roof shotted pretty high up and still be able to keep kicking. So
yeah, good stuff. Let's talk about Tsunami.
Hi, I'm Menon. I'm the bot lead for Tsunami. And basically with Tsunami, you might have noticed this at finals, but we had a lot of intermittent drive issues. And it was mainly mechanical because we didn't realize that the frame was like ever so twisted every time we assembled it. And with it being 2-wheel drive with only the wheels in the back, we started having issues with contact. So like at any point in time, only one of the wheels was ever touching the ground. So that made it really difficult to drive. So one of the big changes we're doing to Tsunami is actually changing it to a 4-wheel drive setup off of the current drive electronics. So we're leaving the back wheels intact, and then we're adding pulleys and belts to have wheels in the front, like a conventional 4-wheel drive beater bar. And then the other thing, of course, is the beater bar itself. So Tsunami was designed to have a beater bar, but we never, initially we never got the stock in time for the first event. And then when we did get the stock, we couldn't get it machined in time for the next event. So it was just us designing a Drisk setup on the fly, and that's just what stuck with the robot. And so far it's only been Drisk, but now we're finally gonna have a beater configuration for April, and we'll have the Drisk configuration, so we can pick and choose what we want to run depending on who our opponent is. So having the beater finally is going to be exciting, and then hopefully we'll be able to get some really good hits with Tsunami.
Yeah, for sure. There's quite a few, I saw on the list, pretty good heavy hitters. So it should be a lot of fun matchups, I think. Now, you said the 12s are all new. So I'd really love to talk about those, just to anything that anybody can say about the design or what we can expect from those robots.
Guess I can go first. I didn't really have any secrets with the design for Galaxy. I'm okay with like showing the entire thing. Galaxy's all new. It's a shuffling disc vert. So 18 pounds, massive weapon. So the idea for the weapon is that it had to be a tiny bit bigger than Phenomenon's. So it's built like a 30, hopefully hits like a 30, but in the 12-pound class. It is a billet aluminum frame, tiny shuffler pods. It's using similar work motors to what Chonky uses. The idea is Galaxy is like a somewhat spiritual successor of Chonky. It's the same members from the same team, including me. So we just kept on going with that train. So yeah, I think it'll be a really exciting bot. If it roofs the bot once or twice, it passed all its expectations. If it goes on to, also fine. It just needs to hit hard once or twice.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you can ask. Whoever wants to go next.
I can go next. So I'm the bot lead for Cherry, which is a 12-pound drum spinner. So it's been a little while since Robojackets has done a drum for a big bot. I think the last one was Mandy, probably 6 or so years ago, which was a 120-pounder. But we're back doing a drum, which is pretty exciting. We're getting the drum machine by the Georgia Tech Machine Shop. Other than that, it's a fairly conventional design. We've got cleats. We've got a milled 2024 aluminum frame to give us a little bit more stiffness. Yeah, should be exciting.
Awesome.
And then I guess I can talk a little bit about Gravity. So hi, I'm Stuart, the bot lead for Gravity. Gravity is a hammer saw, something new we're trying with that. And so it's also got the same aluminum frame that these other 12-pounders have. It's basically, its intent is just pin them and hit them and hopefully don't take too much damage ourselves in that process. It's also shuffling like Shrees. And so yeah, we just hope to hit them and get them without too much damage, and hammer saw is just how we're doing that.
Yeah, hammer saw is definitely becoming a popular archetype within combat robotics, and for good reason. So excited to see another one. And then there is one more 12.
Oh yes. Yeah, so I made a little bit of a misnomer earlier saying they were all new 12s. So the last one is hockey. So that was brought to NHRL before, way back in March 2023, I believe. I believe it had 2 fights. I don't think any of them were too spectacular. I think they were having some drive issues, like their shaft / pulley sheared / the C clip fell off. So so at least to my knowledge, I'm not on the robot, but they've decreased the scope of what they actually needed to do to get the bot working significantly. And we were actually doing a test the other night. They still had some shearing issues with some printed pulleys, so they're switching to some metal ones, but they're probably the closest of the 12s right now to being finished and working. So yeah.
Hockey is a multi-grain, by the way.
Yeah, I should have said that, but yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are
so hockey's a very exciting robot. We're all like, every time hockey gets in the box, all of us go to see it. Like it's like our chonky successor for the 12-pound class, basically.
I mean, if it's a chunky successor, that sounds pretty good. And you said that there's a couple of beetles as well.
Yes. So I'm bringing one. It's my robot. It's called Accelerado. It's sort of like a spiritual successor to the first robot I built within Robojackets. We called it Velocity. So a derivative velocity is acceleration, and I turned it into a word from there, or at least a cool sounding name from there. But it's a 2-wheel drive undercutter with like a 7.5-inch disc. The idea is that I wanted the body of the robot to be super small, compact relative to the blade, so it looks like the blade is just massive, and it kind of is. It's kind of funny to look at. It drives terribly, so I'm hoping cleats work with that. I actually competed with it when I was over on the West Coast. I competed with it at 2 SCAR events, one in the Orange County Maker Fair, went 0-2 there, and then once in the NorCal Expo up in Rockland, where actually I fought Jason Vasquez and 0-0. I unfortunately got counted out. We were both like not moving at the end. I have to go back and watch the fight, but yeah, he beat me. He tore off like my entire front armor, which was poorly designed. So I've redesigned it so that doesn't happen again. So it'd be cool if we got a rematch. Yeah. And then I guess the other one from another member who's not right now is traditionally the bot's been a 2-wheel drive undercutter as well, but the name is Anomaliv, I believe. I can't keep track. They're on so many iterations by now. They're also building iteration 5, but anyways, I digress. But Anomaliv is a shuffling undercutter. I think they have a similar sized disc that I do, but they've been competing for a while now. They last competed at the Robojackets 25th, I think. I think they placed second, but they were also I think they also brought it up to February recently, and they did a grudge against Stickler, and I guess Chonky too. So if you watch the mini bot brawl against Chonky, Anomaly went kind of toe to toe with Chonky, which was kind of funny to see.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. And actually that begs the question that I'm sure is in the mind of every 30-pound builder. Is Chonky going to come out of the shadows like the boogeyman at some point before finals, and scare everybody like it did earlier this year?
We don't think so. Things can always change, but the current plan is we'll come out for finals. We're just setting it on the shelf. We disassembled it after February. Quick event breakdown. We're good. We're all tired. Let's just let it go to finals, see how it does until the shuffle rule set changes. Let's let it be. Yeah.
I'm sure that everybody is breathing a sigh of relief to hear that. Yeah, actually, one other thing that I wanted to ask y'all about is because we talked a little bit about before we started recording that there's going to be a lot of college teams at this event, which I think is a really cool thing because everybody brings different things to the table, and it's so cool to see the designs that everyone comes up with. How do you all feel about like an event that is so college heavy and getting to compete against these other teams?
I think it's great. I mean, it's an awesome opportunity for us to interact with other students that are the same age range as us, same types of, obviously the same hobby, similar degrees, similar backgrounds, but from like all over the country, different schools. It's really great to come to an event and interact with other people, especially other people that are also in college like us, like learn what their experiences are. And especially talking to college competitors always helps us improve how we run our club. So we'll always go and talk to the WPI people, the MIT people, talk to them about how they're running their club, how they're getting funding, how they're getting their bots built, how they're training their new members. And then we'll also share information about how we run our program. So it's always a great experience to talk to other college competitors because there's so much we can learn from each other.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's a really cool thing, and it's nice to see so many schools having these really well-developed programs, with all of you bringing out some really cool robots and, ideas and things like that. Well, I'm really excited to see it, to see what all of these robots can do. I think it's going to be a really fun event. And I mean, I think when you have so many bots, the odds are pretty good in your favor that at least one of them is going to do well. So I'll be watching out, of course, to see how that all goes down. But thank you all for coming on and talking about these amazing bots. I think April's going to be really amazing. And obviously, if you're watching this, please keep doing so. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. We hit 1,000. Let's shoot for 2,000 next. So everybody keep watching, and we'll see everybody next time on the show.